Greetings once again, viewers and subscribers and future subscribers. I'm Miyota-san. Welcome to the Miyota-san channel. This is a no frills video. I'm just going to talk about some things. I've been thinking lately about what happens when the government helps people. And when I say I've been thinking, there's a couple different kinds of thinking. There's a surface thinking, and there's a deeper step-by-step cause and effect methodological thinking. According to surface thinking, government helping people, good. How can you go wrong helping people, right? In fact, some people might say that the reason that the government exists is to help people. But I would say that that's an oversimplification of the purpose of government. I would say the government exists for the purpose of protecting and serving the interests of the people. And when I say serving the interests of the people, there are lots of, in economics we have what we call mutually beneficial exchanges. And in order for mutually beneficial exchanges to take place, they have to be voluntary. If someone can force someone into an exchange, it will not be mutually beneficial. However, any exchange that's voluntary will be mutually beneficial to all parties involved, because otherwise they won't enter into the agreement if it doesn't benefit them. For example, if I am selling my gun for $300, which I wouldn't do because my number one rule of firearms ownership is never sell, unless, down the road you've got some extra guns and the price is right, then you might want to make good on some of those previous investments in the firearms industry. But anyway, if I sell a gun for $300, it means that I value the $300, or what I'm going to buy with the $300, more than I value the gun. The person buying the gun values the gun more than he values the $300. And one of the government's jobs is to make sure that those exchanges are voluntary, that no one can force me into a trade that I don't want to be a part of. Also, the government exists to protect the property rights. If he thinks that someone could legally steal his gun once he buys it, he's not going to purchase it. Or he might purchase it for less money. He might not be willing to pay as much for it. If he thinks the government will not protect his property right to own that firearm, then he might think twice about paying as much for it. And the same way, if I think the government is going to take half of the money that he gives me, then I'm probably not going to sell it for as low of a price. I'm going to expect more money. So without property rights, you're not going to have those voluntary mutually beneficial exchanges, and any mutually beneficial exchanges or any exchanges that you do have are going to take place way outside of what you might consider a market equilibrium. I think equilibrium in the market is really kind of a myth. It doesn't actually exist, but some kind of mainstream economists like to try to produce economics in like a laboratory type setting where you can hold everything ceteris paribus, all other things being equal, this leads to this, and it can kind of help as a thought experiment, but the real world doesn't act like that. Anyway, that's kind of a side trail on the economics thing, but we all enter into these mutually beneficial agreements that we call jobs. All of us that have jobs and work. If I don't think that that person's paying me enough money, then I'm going to work somewhere else where they do pay me enough money. And so there's an agreement saying that I'm going to provide this amount of labor for this amount of money. So that's one of the exchanges that we make in the market economy. Now, when the government gets involved and they say, okay, well, you're making $15 an hour, which that's wistful thinking right now, but thinking optimistically, maybe making $15 an hour, and the government says, okay, we're taking $3 out of that per hour. Well, then I might not choose that job. I might have to choose a job that makes more money, so I can pay the government share or something like that. So in that case, the government's taking that $3 from me, and what are they doing with it? Okay, well, a lot of the money um, is being spent giving foreign aid to different countries around the world. Well, what happens when when the United States helps another country? Well, usually we end up giving them either a bunch of weapons that they end up using to make war on the countries next to them, or to have a civil war inside their own country, or we give them a bunch of money that ends up funding different terrorist groups and things like that. And really what they're doing is they're taking the money from us and they're giving it to another country. Now, are they giving it to the poor people in that country? It seems like most of the money is going to governments in another country. It's going to basically rich people in another country, helping them to oppress other people in those countries. So, is the United States government helping other countries? Are they really helping? Is causing civil wars and civil unrest and funding some of the either dictatorships or terrorism, is that helping? When you look at some of the money that's distributed domestically, they're taking my $3 from my 15, and maybe they're helping the Native Americans. Now, so Native Americans, a lot of them have a pretty sad history of they got the short end of the stick on some different deals that they made with the U.S. government, stuff like that. They were treated poorly. I understand that, and that's unfortunate that happened. That wasn't me. That wasn't. I don't think any of my direct ancestors had anything to do with that, and any Native Americans thinking honestly would be like, okay, well, that doesn't really have anything to do with me either, because right now, the government is not like attacking me and trying to take my land or anything like that. What the government is doing is giving them money. Is that helping? I wouldn't say that it is. I think that the most damaging thing that the government can do, besides not allowing equal rights to a certain ethnicity, the most damaging thing it can do is to give money to a specific ethnicity or a specific group of people, because once they start getting used to that money, it's kind of it disincentivizes them to work, because they feel like, okay, well, I have this money, the government owes me, and they kind of get this little entitlement complex. And I think for an individual, like for example, if the government sends me a check, I'm not going to send it back. Okay, so I'm not holding this against individuals who are receiving money. Like if the government gives me some money, okay, I'll take it. But when the government places conditions on you that you can't work, or else, or you can't make this much money, or else we won't give you that much money, that's holding people back. It's holding people into a certain income bracket that they're never going to be able to escape from. And, so I don't hold it personally against people. I don't think that they're wrong to keep that money. But if you're voting to give money to certain groups, you can't really vote, or you shouldn't really be able to vote to take someone else's money and give it to someone. That's not charity. That's not charity to vote to take money from someone else and give it to someone else. That's accessory to robbery. That's what it is. I would say that that's really holding back Native Americans. That's holding back people who are poor right now, in the lower income brackets, who are getting welfare. It's actually holding back those groups, because it's disincentivizing them to work. It's disincentivizing them to have a family unit. So we have to reevaluate. Is the government helping people good?